The sky was dark, but not with clouds. There was something strange above. A bright light moved fast across the stars. It made no sound, just a soft hum like a song from far away. People in the tribe were sleeping, but one boy was still awake. His name was Keel. He always stayed away from others. They said he was strange. They said he dreamed too much. Keel did not care. He looked at the stars every night. And tonight something felt different. He saw the light fall. It crashed behind the hills. It lit the jungle for a second. Then darkness returned, but Keel had already made up his mind. He had to see what it was. With a torch in hand, he walked through the trees. The jungle was quiet. No birds, no wind, just the crackle of leaves under his feet. It felt something in the air, like the air was watching him. It was cold, but his hands were sweating. After walking for hours, he reached a clearing. The trees were broken, like something big had passed. In the middle of the clearing was a crater, not deep but wide, like a pond. Smoke came from it, and in the center something was glowing. Keel stepped closer. There was no fire, no metal, no sign of a rock, only a small egg. It was smooth and warm, not like a bird egg. It had soft red lines moving under its surface like blood or fire. Keel touched it. The egg moved, not shaking, breathing. He pulled his hand back, but the egg leaned toward him, like it wanted to be near him. He felt something in his chest, like the egg was speaking, not with words but with feeling. He looked around. No one was there, no eyes, no footsteps, just him and the egg. He picked it up. It was light, but it felt important. He did not know why, but he knew he could not leave it there. Keel wrapped it in cloth. He walked back through the jungle. Every sound felt louder. The trees seemed to whisper, but nothing followed him. He reached a cave behind the village, a place he used for thinking and dreaming. He placed the egg on dry leaves. He lit a small fire nearby. He sat and waited. 3 days he brought food. He talked to the egg. He sang. He told stories, and the egg glowed a little brighter each day. Then one night, the egg cracked, not loud, just a soft sound like paper tearing. Keel watched a small shape pushed from inside. It was not a bird, it was not a lizard, it was something else. It had no eyes, no wings, just smooth skin and small legs. Its skin was black but shimmered with red lines, just like the egg. It looked at Keel, or maybe it felt him. Keel reached out his hand. The creature moved toward it, touched it, and made a soft sound, like wind through grass. He called it Nix. He fed it honey, fruits, water, and it grew fast. In one day it doubled in size. By the third day it could climb rocks, but something else was happening. The fire near the cave turned green one night. Leaves near Nix turned brown. Even without touch, Keel saw but did not understand. He only thought it was special. He left the cave for a moment to get more food. When he came back, Nix was not there. He looked around, called its name, but the cave was empty. Then he saw the trail, a thin line of melted earth going toward the trees. He followed it, slow, careful, afraid. At the edge of the forest, he stopped. One tree was broken. Its trunk was soft like ash. No fire, no wind, only silence. Keel turned around, but before he could speak he heard a sound, a whisper, no, a voice. Inside his mind it said one word: soon. Night had fallen, but the jungle was not asleep. Something moved between the shadows. It did not crawl. It did not walk. It floated close to the ground. Its body left no footprints, only soft marks that glowed for a few seconds before fading like dreams. Keel sat by the cave with his arms around his knees. The fire had gone out without wind. The air was thick, still heavy. Nix was gone, and so was the peace inside him. He had never felt fear like this before, not when he was alone, not when the tribe laughed at him. This was something different. He tried to call for Nix again, but no answer came, only the jungle replying with soft creaks and distant hisses. He picked up the small stone blade he had made weeks ago. It was not sharp, but it gave him a reason to stand, a reason to move. Keel walked into the jungle. Each step felt longer, each breath felt louder. He followed the melted line. It still pulsed with faint heat, like a wound trying to close. Then he saw a figure by the river. Small, still Nix. It was bigger now, maybe twice the size of before. Its skin had changed. The black had faded into a deep silver, and the red lines were brighter, moving slowly like rivers on its body. But something was wrong. Nix was not alone across the water, hidden behind vines. Something was watching, not moving, not blinking, just watching. Keel could not see its face, but he felt it. He felt its eyes like cold knives on his back. The trees around it were bending, not from wind but from fear. Keel stepped toward Nix, and Nix turned its head. No eyes, no mouth, but it looked right at him, and it made the same soft sound like wind whispering to itself. Then the watcher moved, not fast, not slow. It simply appeared closer. No sound, no warning. Keel held his breath, his hand tight on the stone blade, but the blade felt like a toy. Now Nix looked at the watcher, then back at Keel, and suddenly Nix stood between them. The watcher made a new sound, not from its mouth but from the trees. The leaves shook, the air shimmered, then it left, gone like it was never there. Keel dropped to his knees. He had not even noticed he was shaking. Nix came closer, touched his hand. It was warm and calm. Keel felt safe again, but he knew now Nix was not just a creature. It was something more. He picked it up. It did not resist, and they walked back to the cave. That night Keel did not sleep. He watched. The fire watched. Nix watched the stars, and something strange happened. Nix looked at the fire, and the fire looked back. The flames rose higher. Without wood, without wind, just rising slow, bright, alive. Keel stared. The fire danced like it was thinking, and in the fire he saw shapes, a world, not a sky filled with machines, mountains of glass, creatures like Nix but bigger, stronger. flying through light, then a voice again, this time clearer, "You are chosen." Keel stood, he looked at Nyx, its body pulsed with the firelight. It was not afraid. He asked one question, "Why me?" The voice answered, "Because you are alone." The fire died just like that, no smoke, no ash, just silence. Again morning came slow. Keel felt different, he felt older, not in body but in heart. He knew someone would come soon, not from the tribe, from the stars, and he was not ready, but Nyx was, and maybe together they could. Beatty sun rose, the trees sang again, but the Watcher was still out there, and it was not alone. The jungle was awake, but not in the usual way. No birds, no insects, no rustling leaves, just air that felt too still, like it was waiting for something. Keel stood outside the cave, Nyx beside him, both watching the trees. They had not moved for hours, not spoken, not eaten, only listened. Last night had changed something, the fire, the vision, the voice. It was still inside his head. Soft, deep, cold. "You are chosen." Keel could not forget those words. They echoed even when his ears were silent. They burned even when his skin was cold. He looked at Nyx. Its body was different again, not just bigger, not just brighter, but sharper. Its skin now had tiny cracks. From them light escaped, pale blue, like stars trapped inside stone, and when Nyx moved the air around, it rippled. Something was growing inside it, not hunger, not fear, something older, something alive. Keel felt it too, not in his body but in his bones, in the space between thoughts, like whispers crawling beneath his skin. They said nothing clearer, only fragments, old words, dead names. He walked deeper into the jungle. Nyx followed without sound. They passed old trees, stones marked by claw or fire, things no animal could do. The world around them was changing. The plants near Nyx were sick, their colors wrong, too bright, too sharp, like they came from dreams or nightmares. Keel found a new path, one that was not there before. A line of broken roots and twisted flowers leading down underground. He did not want to follow, but his legs moved. Nyx walked ahead, its body lighting the way. They reached a tunnel, dark, cold, breathing. Yes, the tunnel breathing. Yes, the tunnel breathed. The walls moved slow, soft, like lungs too big to see. Keel stepped inside. The sound of the surface faded, only the sound of his breath remained, and then even that was gone. No light, no air, only Nyx glowing and the tunnel listening deeper. They walked, each step a question, each breath a memory, and then the walls opened. A room, not carved, not built, grown like a nest, like a heart at the center, a shape not alive, not dead, waiting. It looked like a seed, huge, black, covered in strange symbols, symbols that moved, not written, living. Nyx walked to it, touched it, and the seed opened. Light, but not just light, sound without noise, thought without words, everything. At once, Keel fell to the ground, hands over his ears, but the sound was not in his ears, it was in his blood. Then silence again. Keel looked up. The seed was gone. In its place, a figure stood tall, thin, made of the same glow as Nyx, but older and broken, its body cracked, pieces missing, but still standing. It looked at Keel, and Keel felt his name vanish. He was not Keel here, he was nothing. Then the figure spoke, not with sound but with truth. "We were gods, then we were hunted, we fell from the sky, one by one, until only pieces remained. You found a piece, you fed it, named it, gave it shape. Now it remembers what it was, and what it must become." Keel tried to speak, his mouth moved, no sound came. The figure walked closer, its light faded with each step. It reached out, touched Nyx, and vanished. Nyx changed again, taller, thinner, its shape more like the figure, but not the same, younger, faster, hungry. Keel backed away, not in fear but in awe. Nyx looked at him, and he understood this was no pet, no friend. This was a weapon, a memory of war built again in silence. The tunnel began to fall, walls closing, roots snapping, air vanishing. Keel ran, Nyx behind him, both silent, both changed. They reached the surface. The sky was red, not sunset, something else. Smoke rose from the east. The tribe, the Watcher. Keel ran behind him. Nyx opened its mouth for the first time. No teeth, no tongue, only light that screamed asterisk. The sky was not the same, it burned like it was bleeding red and black. Clouds moved without wind. The sun was lost behind something too large to see, and the ground felt soft, like the earth itself was breathing too fast. Keel ran through the forest branches, cut his arms, thorns tore at his legs, but he did not stop. He could see the smoke now rising above the trees, dark, thick, wrong behind him. Nyx moved like a shadow made of fire, its body no longer soft, its steps no longer silent. The creature he had raised was no longer small, no longer simple, and it did not blink, it did not rest. Keel reached the edge of the trees, his heart heavy, his eyes wide. The tribe was burning, huts where broken fires danced across dry grass, animals screamed, and people ran in circles like they had already lost. At the center stood a shape, not human, not beast. It was the Watcher, the same one from the river, now fully seen, its body thin like bone, its skin silver and glass, and its face had no eyes, only a mouth that did not open. It pointed at the sky, and the sky answered. A long sound fell down from above like metal, tearing like the stars, crying. Something above the clouds moved, too large to understand, like a ship, like a god. The people of the tribe fell to the ground, not from attack but from memory. They remembered something they were not supposed to, something from old blood, from old fear. The elders began to scream. They spoke words no one taught them, words that bent the air, words that burned the grass. One of them pointed at Keel. He brought it, he woke the sky. The others followed. Voices turned to roars, fear turned to hate. They ran toward him, some with spears, some with fire, but they stopped not from mercy. Not from thought, they stopped because Nick stepped forward. The creature opened its mouth. No teeth, no voice, only light. The light touched the air, and the air screamed. The fire went out, the wind dropped, and every person fell to the ground, not hurt, not dead, just empty, like their thoughts had been taken, like their names had been erased. Keel stood still, his breath caught in his throat. He looked at Nyx, and he asked with no words. When Nyx turned, walked to him, and touched his hand, and then Keel saw the past. Not his, not human, a memory inside. Nyx, a war in the sky, worlds on fire, armies of light creatures like Nyx falling from broken stars, running from something worse, a darkness that fed on stars, that turned minds into weapons. One creature had survived. It had fallen here long ago. It had changed, slept, waited, and now it had grown again. The voice returned, not from Nyx, not from the sky, from inside Keelor, the keeper, the guide, the door. Keel fell to his knees, his body shaking, his mind full of names that never belonged to him. He looked up at the tribe, still lying, still breathing, but not the same. Then from the edge of the fire someone rose. The princess, the daughter of the chieftain, tall, strong eyes sharp like blades. She did not fall like the others. She did not shake. She had seen the light, and she had remembered. She walked to Keel, her hands empty, but her voice full of steel. You cannot control it, you cannot lead it. You are too small, too weak, too kind. Keel said nothing. He looked at Nyx, and Nyx looked at her. They both felt it, the tension, the test. The princess stepped closer. Then she knelt, not in fear, not in defeat, in choice. Looked at the burning sky, at the watchers above, and she spoke words from old stone. If this is the end, let me stand at the front. Nyx stepped forward, touched her shoulder, and Keel knew the creature had chosen her too, but not as keeper, as weapon. Together they would become something the stars had forgotten, something worse than fear, something stronger than gods. The sky cracked again, and this time it would not heal. The sky did not sleep, even when the fires were gone, even when the tribe was silent, even when the ground stopped shaking. It still glowed like an open wound. Keel sat near the edge of the ruins, his hands in the dust, his eyes on the stars beside him. Nyx stood still, no movement, no glow, just silence. Hand in front of them. The princess, her name was Selen. She wore no crown, no gold, only marks of ash on her face, and blood on her hands. Not hers, not his, something else. They had spent the night in silence. Not from fear, not from peace, from knowing what was coming. The voice had not returned, but the signal had a sound that touched no ear, a light that touched no eye. Something deeper, older. It came from the sky, but not from the stars. It came from a hole behind the light, from a place that even gods feared. Selen heard it too, not in words but in feeling, like metal pressed to bone, like cold under the skin. She stood now looking at the remains of her people, some alive, some broken, some gone. They had seen something their minds could not hold. They had looked at Nyx, and something inside them had cracked, but they still breathed, still blinked, still blinked, still waited. Selen turned to Keel and said the words he feared. It is calling. Others. Keel stood, his legs weak, his voice dry. What others? Selen looked at the sky, the ones who broke it first. Nyx moved, slow, careful, listening. Its skin now showed symbols, not glowing, not moving, just there like scars that never healed. It looked toward the trees, toward the edge of the world, and it walked. Keel followed Selen behind him. None of them spoke. After a long walk they reached a stone, not large, not old, but different. It was smooth to smooth, like it had never touched the world, like it had fallen from something high on its surface. A mark, a circle within a circle, lines like waves, and in the center a single crack. Keel touched it, and the stone sang, not loud, not clear, a low hum like the breath of a dead star. The sky answered. A beam of light broke through the clouds, thin, sharp, cold, and from it a shape fell, not fast, not slow, like it chose each inch of its fall, like it tasted the air. It landed without sound, no dust, no weight, just presence. It looked like Nyx, but taller, older, wounded. Its body had holes, not from battle, from time. Its eyes glowed, but not with light, with memory. It looked at Keel, then at Nyx, then at Selen, and it spoke not with a mouth, but with gravity. We heard your call. Nyx stepped forward, its body pulsing again, not with fear, with recognition. They touched, not with hands, with space, and from their touch came light images, moments, a war that swallowed stars, a darkness with no name, a silence that killed memory. The new one, the elder. It showed Keel something, a weapon buried far deep under the mountain of ash. It had been hidden, not to be used but to be forgotten. Now it was waking. Selen clenched her fists, her breath sharp. Wide now. Why come back? The elder turned to her. Because your kind made the same signal again. Keel looked at her hands, at her eyes, and understood the fire, the chants, the ancient words. The tribe had called the sky long ago without knowing what answered. Selen stepped back, her voice low. My father, he taught those songs. He said they were prayers. Keel spoke no, they were locks now broken. Nyx moved closer. It looked at the mountain far ahead. The elder did too. Then both looked at Keel and spoke as one. You must choose. Keel felt the ground shake, not from the sky, from below. The weapon was no longer sleeping, and soon nothing else would. The mountain. It stood alone. No trees grew near it, no rivers touched its sides, no birds flew above it, only silence, heavy, cold, endless. Keel stood at its base, Nyx beside him, Selen a few steps behind, and far above the sky watched without blinking. The elder had gone. Its body turned to dust, not from age but from giving what little it had left, a memory, a map, a warning. Inside this mountain a weapon slept, Not metal, not fire, something worse, a memory turned solid, a thought that could kill. Selin looked at the cracks. On the rocks they pulsed with light blue, soft. Wrong, this mountain is alive. Keel nodded. He could feel it too, not in his skin, in his bones. Like old blood calling out. Nyx walked forward, its steps left marks, each one deeper than the last. Its body now fully changed. No longer a creature, not yet a god. Something in between. The entrance opened without touch. Stone melted like ice, air spilled out. Dry, rotten, familiar. They entered inside. The walls glowed, covered in symbols, circles, lines, eyes without faces, hands without fingers. Keel ran his hand across them and they moved. The wall showed his face, then Selin, then Nyx, then fire. They walked deeper. The light behind them vanished. No path back, only forward. Selin touched the wall. Her breath stopped. A memory filled her mind, not hers, one from the first fall. She saw a world with 2 suns and a sky filled with ships. She saw creatures made of sound, and machines with minds. She saw the weapon in its first form, a voice so loud it broke time. She pulled back, shaking. We should not be here. Keel looked at her, his eyes calm. But we are. Nyx stood before a door. Black Toe closed it, placed its hand, and the door opened. Inside was no chamber, no room, only space. Stars moved along the ceiling, planets broke apart. In silence, and at the center the weapon. It was not large, not bright, not loud. It looked like a child sitting alone. Eyes wide, hands open, but its skin was cracked, and from the cracks light escaped, and that light screamed. Keel stepped forward, and the light touched him. His body shook, his eyes turned white, his voice lost. He saw the truth. The weapon was never made. It was born from fear, from pain, from the last scream of a dying people. They had poured all memory into it, hoping it would remember for them, hoping it would survive, but memory does not heal it. Skill fell. Selin caught him. Nyx moved to the child, and the child looked up. It smiled, a smile made of broken stars. The cave shook, the walls cracked. Voices filled the air, not words, cries, millions. All at once Selin pulled Keel back, but he stood again, his body weak, his voice steady. We can't destroy it, we must carry it. Selin stared at him. You want to take this? Keel nodded. It chose me and I chose it. Nyx reached out. The child touched its hand, and light wrapped around them both. Then it split. Part of the child entered, Nyx's part entered. Keel and the cave stopped shaking. The mountain fell silent. The stars on the ceiling faded, and one word remained on the wall. Run. Keel looked at Selin, at Nyx, at the remains of the room, and he understood they had taken the memory, but something else had been watching above. In the sky behind the stars, something old, something waiting. It had felt the signal. It had followed the scream, and now it was coming. Selin grabbed Keel's arm. We leave now. They ran through the tunnel. The stone behind them cracked. The light above turned red. Outside the sky was no longer red, it was black, not from night, from something covering the stars, a shape wider than the world, eyes like holes in space, and it was falling. Nyx looked up, its body shaking, its skin cracking, and from its chest the voice returned. You took what was never yours, now give it back. The sky was broken. A shape larger than the moon floated above the mountain. It had no wings, no body, only shadow. Its eyes were endless, not glowing, just open, like holes in the sky. Keel stood still, his heart silent, his thoughts full beside him. Selin held her weapon, no steel, only fire, the kind made from belief. Nyx stood between them, its body torn, its skin splitting. Light poured from every crack, not white, not red, something beyond color, a memory in motion. Above the voice returned, no sound, only presence. You touched what we buried, you carried what we forgot, now you must become what we feared. Keel stepped forward, his body shaking, his hands glowing. The memory inside him pulsed like a second heart. He did not speak, he did not pray, he only remembered. He remembered the sky before it fell, the voices of a people now dust, the stars that once sang. He remembered the child in the mountain and the promise it made. We are not weapons, we are stories, and stories do not end here. The shadow began to descend, slow, endless, like time bending inward. Selin raised her hand, spoke the words from the old songs, not in fear and defiance. The sky cracked again, and from behind the mountains came the tribes, not just hers, others hidden, forgotten, answering the same signal. They came with drums, with fire, with silence. The shadow did not care. It grew larger, its body opened like a gate. Inside it's nothing, not death, not life, only forgetting. It was not here to destroy, it was here to erase. Nyx moved forward, its body rising, its light blinding. It looked at Keel and something passed between them, not a word, not a command, a choice. Then Nyx turned to Selin, touched her chest and passed the last piece of the weapon into her eyes. Lit. Her voice changed. She saw the memory to all of it, the beginning, the war, the fall. Now they were three, one with the past, one with the present, one with the fire. The tribe stood behind the mountain, cracked behind. The shadow opened wide and Keel walked into it. Selin screamed, but did not follow. She knew what it meant. Nyx followed him, silent, calm inside the shadow. There was no sound, no ground, no sky, only thoughts, and none were his. Keel floated, Nyx beside him, the memory around them, and the voice inside them. You are not gods, you are not stars, you are noise. Keel replied without words. With memory he showed it, the faces, the hands, the songs, the fire, the pain, and the shadow cracked, not loud, not sharp, but real. Nyx opened its chest. The light inside burst out. It carried voices, the voices of every forgotten world, every broken promise, every child who dreamed of stars. The shadow screamed it, tried to close to hide, but memory had no end outside. Selin saw the sky split from the crack. Came fire, came light, came name. Raised her hands, called the tribes. They answered in one voice, "We remember." And the shadow fell. It did not burn, it did not fade, it folded inward. Like paper in rain, and was gone. Silence returned, but it was not empty. The stars were back. The sky was blue. The mountain stopped bleeding. Selin stood alone. The tribes behind her, no sign of Keel, no trace of Nick. She waited minutes, hours. Then from the light, a shape returned, not Keel, not Nick. Something knew it. Walked like Keel. It burned like Nick's. It spoke like memory. Selin looked at it, eyes widened. It smiled, a real smile, not made of stars, not made of power, made of hope. Keel was gone, but his story lived, and now so did they.